Welcome back to All Politics Are Local, America's number one political hip-hop radio talk show. Before we even begin, I have to give a disclaimer. This is a disclaimer for the entire show. The All Politics Are Local does not represent the views of Rutgers University in any way. Any idea or anything spoken on this show only represents the views of the person who speaks them. And we are a community radio program. So with that, we are ready for our new section. We are honored to have with us today two members from City Hall. We have the Deputy Mayor. We have Rahaman Muhmmad, always here, always lively, and we're going to get into the lively conversation. And we have the other lively person who kept bumping into me the other day. I was like, the Pat Council. So, who runs the city's recreation departments.
Yes, sir.
So, this has been an interesting week. It's been a fun week, man. I mean, I started off being able to watch the VMAs from my home and just being able to walk outside a couple of blocks from where I live and look at the VMAs and the live stuff. I watched the VMAs for the first time in years. Didn't recognize anybody, like 5 people, like Taylor Swift, she's still around. but Rahaman Muhmmad, you were there in person.
Oh my God.
You were filming.
Hey,
I saw your live film.
Man.
And so what was going on, man? What's happening?
Hey man, I was enjoying the VMAs. We was at a party for a red carpet event that Eminem and Mars had at the new facility they have in Newark. Welcome to our new corporate partners in the city of Newark. And
that means we can get some money from them?
Oh my God,
we've been doing a lot.
They're going to do a lot, man.
Okay.
Yeah, listen, every year the Halloween is off the hook, brother. What they do for the kids on Halloween is off the hook. I mean, first class, brother. So you got.
Wait, I mean that's been for years.
Yeah, for years, for about last 4 years now.
4 years.
4 years now, man. It's really good.
Great
man.
partnership with them.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah. So them moving into the city of Newark was a great partnership, but. Listen, I was at the VMAs, and I started recording because they have a terrace in their building, and so I was on top of the terrace, and I was recording the kids because the VMAs had all the kids that was staged in what they call the bowl area.
Right.
So they had them all staged next door to the Eminem building, inside the Eminem building. Offices, and they were, escorting them out. And so I'm recording the kids because there was so many of them. I was like, yo, this is crazy.
Right, because the VMAs had thousands of people in it.
Yeah, but I mean, the kids that they actually, because I think they actually get these kids to come and sit in this bowl, so they're actually working for the VMAs.
Oh wow!
So it's like thousands.
Wait, so it's not just a live audience? It's like they bring them in.
Listen, I don't know, but they told me I was told these are just a stage area for the kids the actors that they hired to come into the bowl. So I don't know.
Wow. Okay.
So I was recording them, as they was walking into the building, and while I was recording them, if anybody go see my live, you'll see that the protesters came into my view, and so I started recording the protests. And during the protest, when they first saw me, they started screaming my name. I didn't really pay attention to them screaming my name. You can see I started narrating my FB Live page, and if you care to listen to it and go on and hear the truth instead of what the PX and the Channel 11 and the Young Turks put out there, and the crazies from whatever group outside the city put out there, you actually hear me saying that they got a right to protest. I'm saying this is their right. This is what democracy looks like. I don't know why they're protesting, because the mayor just had a press conference. There should be a goal to protesting. I don't agree with them protesting because the mayor just had this press conference where he acknowledged that he's going to replace what they're asking for.
What is that? What's going on? Just in case people don't know, what happened on Monday? What was the announcement? What was and why do you think the protest didn't make sense in light of that?
Well, I mean, the mayor had a press conference earlier between the state, Essex County, and the city of Newark, where they got together, and me and you talked about this 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
I said to you that the mayor's working on something to get the pipes fixed much quicker than what he said, but I'm not going to speak about it. I'm going to let him speak about it. And so he announced at this press conference that
that's true. 2 weeks ago.
Right, 2 weeks ago on the show.
He did say the mayor was working on something. Right.
And I'm going to let him speak about it. I'm not going to talk about it. He's going to speak about it. And so they announced this deal that they made to get the money so that we can get the lead pipes out of the ground, residents' home lead pipes, by the way, out of the ground for free now. They don't even have to pay. Before it was $1,000, so now it's free. So to me, the protest didn't make sense, because if the goal is to get the lead pipes out the water, then you've met the goal. Like I said in my live feed, I was a union guy. I have no problem with protest. So if Prudential,
we come
if
out
I
of
was
protest,
right? We come from that.
Yeah,
we
we come from
activists.
protest
So if like I said, if I was a union official and I was negotiating a contract with Prudential Center and they didn't give me and the VMAs was there, I would protest the VMAs. But if Prudential called me that morning and said, "Hey, we're giving you a contract," I would tell my members, we're not longer protest. We got what we wanted. And so to me, there has to be a goal, an end to what your protest is. And so I just felt like they did that for attention. There was a lot of those folks that wasn't from the city of Newark. None of the people that got arrested was from the city of Newark, so that should tell you what the tale is, right? And so during me recording, Munira Bomani snatched the bullhorn. And she began to scream some slanderous statements about me, saying that I stole money from the union. I was being investigated by the FBI. And that's where you see me wave my hand off at it and laughing it off like, here we go with this nonsense. And you hear me say this in my live feed. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure the Channel 11, the Young Turks, they heard her say this stuff because they was right there in their face while they were they doing it. But then they want to come up and try to make a story about me recording a protest. You know what I'm saying? These same individuals who, if police was arresting somebody, they would argue their right to film police, but yet they're complaining that I'm recording a protest where at the VMAs that they decided to come. In addition to the fact that hypocrisy is they're recording too.
Right.
They got camera phones recording. They got people with cameras recording their protesting. So I don't understand what the big deal was. And so when the guy came up to me from Channel 11, I tried to explain it, but he wanted to create a narrative the way he wanted. The Young Turks lady wanted to create a narrative the way they wanted, and this is the narrative they put out. So, I mean, it's unfortunate, but this is the reason why you have social media now, because you can kind of combat that type of stereotype.
And part of it was also just like, well, what is this about, and where is the daylight between the activists in the city? Because I always, I believe in activism. I think activism makes us all better.
Yes.
I think that, even I might not agree with you, but I think that you being there forces everybody to be a lot more honest. Like, there's nothing wrong with sunshine, right?
Right.
And but I think that at a certain point, I think especially now, I think that there's a unique ability for activists to work with the city to make the policy better.
I don't disagree.
Those who are real activists, though, right? So we can't have this kind of format of illusionary activists, right? We have to have this real hardcore common sense conversation about activists who are really out here trying to promote and gain the real interest of the struggle of the people, those oppressed people, those folks who are out here without a voice, that needs a voice to uplift and really infuse and charge a change and become change agents, but not give this illusionary tale of things that are happening, that are not happening, and forecasting themselves to say something and do something, because then you become an opportunist, not an activist.
But I mean, I think that sometimes the difference between, when we think someone's an opportunist and an activist is if we agree with them, right? And I think ultimately it's about, well, can you back up what you say, right? Like if they're spreading things that are false, that's bad, right? Like even, in terms of like when they were like, the water source is contaminated and stuff like that, that was actually not true, right? And I remember me looking at this issue and I got confused by all this stuff that just wasn't true. Right.
Well, I mean, but the other thing is that I think there's opportunity in all activism, right? Like I said, I'm not afraid of protest. I'm not afraid of criticism. I tell people all the time, how many times I come on the show and say, legitimate criticism is great.
Like criticism.
You know what I'm saying? That's
It's
strong.
strong.
I have no problem with that, right? It keeps us going, right? But you cannot make stuff up. You cannot outright lie and then tell me now I have to turn around here and prove your lies or to have a debate with your lies when we're starting at a point where you're just making things up. Like, let's talk, like, for instance, I don't have a problem with the brother criticizing the funding source if he wants to. That's a legitimate criticism, right? We can have the debate, but at the point right now, we want to turn around and get the lead out of the water. And the way to get it permanently is to replace the line. And so the mayor and state and them came up with a way to get it out quicker. And so if you want to complain, that's great. They borrowed $120 million. That's at least truth. But when you make stuff up and say, oh, now the county is in charge of the water system, now you're just lying. And why should I debate that with you?
Right.
Why do I have to get and to prove that with you? Why do we have to go out to the public venue and have these type of arguments about something that's just not true? I don't want to start there. If you
Right.
want to have a
That's not a
conversation about
starting
$120 million, let's have a conversation about $120 million because those are facts. If you want to have a conversation with me on the process, then those are facts.
Right.
But let's not just turn around here and say, I'm being controlled by the county exec now. He's running the water department. I mean, now you're just making things up. And that's just, to me, like, we don't have to do that.
Because you can't negotiate in bad faith.
Yes. Yes.
We don't have
you can't
time
do
for that,
Right.
right? We have a major issue on our hand that we're dealing with very proactively. I believe the mayor is doing an extraordinary job at taking this thing head on and dealing with it very proactively and working with partners and creating partnerships across the line. It doesn't matter if it's community activist partners, if it's other partners, because what most folks, fail to realize is that, the city pays its fair share in county taxes as well.
Right.
Right, and we have to understand it from that standpoint, and so we have to, and we're the largest seat, right, in Essex County, and so we have to come together and look at what is best for Newark, because as Ken Gibson says, so goes Newark, so goes the rest of this world, right?
And I think that one of the questions, or one of the conversations I think really should be had in Newark is that the activists who are like, maybe less quiet, but who are talking about like facts, right?
Yes.
Who are talking about like what some of the actual issues are, right? Like there are some activists who are talking about, well, there's a difference between EPA and World Health Organization standards, and argue about like we shouldn't use EPA standards, we should use World Health Organization standards.
Right.
I think that's a good debate to have.
Right.
I think that's a way. I think that's a way where activists could actually push the city.
Right.
Just like the ACLU did,
Right.
to have the most progressive policies in the country,
Right.
The ACLU sued the city of Newark for under Cory Booker for police brutality.
Right.
The activists in the city of Newark, Larry Ham, Zaid, like probably both of you at that point, right?
We all did.
Fought for the CCRB, like the Civilian Complaint Review Board, right? Fought for having police standards different, but the policies are now like the most progressive because the activists who are dealing with the actual facts, right, which you have to do to be a real activist, right, pushed things forward.
And that's what I mean about there's opportunity in activism. So as a labor leader, there was opportunity in activism for me. So if I seen some things that need to be changing, then my activism as a leader led for that to be changed. And that's where the opportunity came. And it's the same with this situation. I don't disagree with what they're saying. That's not the problem here. But we don't have to make it up. And they say, and I hear them say that it's not personal to Mayor Baraka, but sometimes it seems like those lines are blurred. That it really is personal because they saying personal things.
Right.
I mean, when you say that the mayor is intentionally killing babies, when you say that the mayor is killing the poison water, I mean, anybody that know this mayor from the time of him coming, I mean, I met him when he came out of college, but anybody that has dealt with this man for a period of time understand he loves the city.
Right.
And he will work hard. Listen, he's not kicking this can down the road. Listen, they just had a story today where they said 20 years ago, they were warned, a guy went and met with the council and Mayor Sharp James and told him about the lead and the water and blah, 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 blah. And their debate back then was, well, who's going to pay for it?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The article just came out today, right? This is 20 years. I told you, when I was a kid, in the Gibson administration, every day before school right now, every year before school right now, we had to go get lead tests.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Before we started school.
From lead-based paint.
From lead-based paint, from the water, from the pipes, and lead in the water. So this has been going for ongoing. But here's a mayor who come up with the
50s when they outlawed using lead pipes.
Yes.
They knew it in the 80s
Yes.
where they were like outlawing like
Yes.
putting these fixtures inside of your homes, right? Like, so this has been a problem for over 50 years.
Yes, decades.
Right.
Right, and so now we come up with a solution where the man says, you know what, I'm not going to kick it down the line. I'm going to another administration. I'm going to remove the lead pipe so no one have to deal with that anymore.
And remove the private lead pipes with public money.
Yes.
So that no one has to do it. Because I think that
hasn't been done before.
But here's the question, Al. Remember we were out in front of City Hall the other day and somebody from the Gibson, one of the activists from the Gibson era came in.
Right.
And we were talking about the lead lines.
Because
and he started saying, yeah, but those folks and their they should be replacing their lines and their homes on their own. And I said to you, see, this is the point. You got individuals who believe because those are your private lines that you're responsible for replacing those private lines. But the man said, you know what? No, it's a public health crisis. We need to remove the lead from underneath our city so we don't have to worry about this problem. And here's the other thing. So let's be very clear. Not only is Newark benefiting, but everywhere we service is benefiting now from this. So we got to remove the lead pipes in Hillside. That's the ones in Hillside. We're moving the lead pipes, the ones in Belleville. So listen, this is what's happening now. So we're removing the lead pipes from up under these cities that we service so that we can get the lead out the water, period, to get rid of the public health crisis. And now we have individuals that want to change the argument to say, well, I don't like the way he got the money. The rich people should, well, the mayor probably wouldn't disagree with you that rich people should pay it. But he can't have that debate right now because there's a health emergency. He has to remove it now.
Fix it. Right. That's the fundamental principle. Fix it.
Yes.
That's what
instead of us going through, we get into this debate and we fight with one another. Like I said, there is opportunities to activism. Most of those people you will see that's leading those activists out there that was out there. There are individuals who ran for office before who failed at their campaigns, and now they're leading this movement because they want attention for them. That's cool. That's great. I mean, I'm not saying, listen, I've seen it done. I probably participated in that type of protest myself. But at the end of the day, either we're going to be serious, because here's the situation. And I tell people, and I told somebody that the difference between me and them, as because they claim that they're protesters, when I led a protest, I got arrested. Let's be very clear about that.
Right.
When I led a protest,
And I remember when you
got arrested. You know what I'm saying?
I
I didn't have outsiders get arrested on my behalf. Every single
back up
person,
and let it happen.
right? Every
Right?
single person
We were in
that
the
got
council
arrested
chamber, we got
at the
arrested.
VMAs
To allow the people the right
were
to speak.
outsiders.
Right? Some of the same
I
people
got arrested.
who are speaking at the council meeting today, right? Who has benefited off of what we've done, right? Sitting and fighting for the rights to people to speak at the council meetings, or at the council meetings now saying how bad we are for allowing them to get their rights to speak and have to say that they're saying at the council meetings.
So yeah, so I'm like the one of the things that that actually I think that this brings an opportunity for is, like, I know that you characterize a lot of the activists as just being insincere, and I think that they're in, like, if you're lying about stuff, you're really not sincere. If you're making up stuff, I can't trust you.
Those are the
I
ones
can't
I'm
work
talking
with you.
about.
If you're making up stuff, if you're making up stuff,
Yeah.
then I get it, right?
Yeah,
You
right.
can't trust them.
Right.
But there are people out there who are concerned,
Yeah,
out
no
there,
question,
right?
no
Like
question.
they're out there, they're protesting.
No
but-
question.
And I think that there really is an opportunity, right, for activists who come with facts, who may have like actual documents to talk about like World Health Standards versus EPA standards or something like that. That's like activists who actually deal not in personality, but who deal in like, hey, this is an issue. This is how we can get better at this
Right,
issue.
right.
I just think now more than ever is a perfect opportunity.
But that's the push,
to work
right?
with the city.
That's the push, and that's the opportunity to come in, to have that discussion, to have those debates, to have that kind of struggle, because iron sharpens iron, right?
Right.
And so it strengthens and it pushes, and not only it pushes you past a horizon of a thought process, right? So that you can be able to look at things on a harder level and then and extract from it and say, look, we can grow from here. Let's grow from here. We can add. We can delete. We can probably push these things and continue to be a very progressive city, right? In a progressive administration, to say these are some of the kind of things that we need to do. So all of those activisms and all that way, we need them to keep pushing. We need them to push in a way that is shake trees, because sometimes when you shake trees, some things fall out that needs to fall out, right? And it exposes some things that needs to be exposed. And so those are the necessary tools that we need to engage in. Some of the things that we need to push, because we all want to be sharper. We all want to be better, right? That's what Rock said. Look, I don't mind if you criticize me, if you come at me, because that's strengthening me. That's helping me get better. It's making me study hard. It's making me look hard. It's making me research better. It's getting me to a place where I'm gonna be able to stretch myself. And we want to stretch ourselves, but we want to stretch it in a way where people benefit, right? Not at people's downfall, not at people's bequest, not at people's misery. Because when you begin to do that, then it's this whole kind of separate, kind of divisive kind of thing that reaps of some weird things.
Because the most important thing is to deal with the issue at hand, right?
Oh, and
Like,
we try to
deal with
destroy
the
each
issue at
other in the public sphere. So, you know what I'm saying? Like
What
I
do you mean by
said,
that?
well, like I said, what the young lady was saying on the bullhorn about me, to me, is now you're trying to destroy my
Because at that point it's
character.
slander, right?
Well, I mean, listen, you understand? Now you're in a national. It's one thing when you say it amongst us. Because this isn't new. They've said this about me since I left the union. But when you say it with us, it's one thing. But now you're in front of a national audience on television making these slanderous claims that is just not true. And, you know what I'm saying? No, it's like you should be called on it, right? We should say, listen, that you shouldn't do. You know what I'm saying? If you want to turn around and criticize me, I'm the deputy mayor and I'm up here recording and, you know what I'm saying, I'm representing the administration there and you want to say, oh, that's one thing. But then when you just make these outlandish, slanderous things where you're trying to destroy people's character out in the public sphere, I just think that's not cool, right? And I don't do that to these folks. You know what I'm saying? I never do that. I don't make anything up about them, but I do defend myself because I sat there when I left the union the first time and allowed these people for almost a year to just put things out in the sphere about me that wasn't true. And, you know, people from all over this country was calling me, Rock, is everything okay? Are you going to be, like, it's just not, it's crazy because some people actually believe this crazy nonsense.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so if we're going to talk about the water, let's talk about the water issue.
Right.
Let's stick to the issue. Why are we diverting from that? You know what I'm saying? To talk about this nonsense. If it's not personal against me, if it's not personal against the mayor, then let's stick to what the issue is. You know what I'm saying? Because here's what I would have done if it was me, right? And I was leading the water coalition, right? After the mayor made that announcement, I would have had somebody reach out to the administration and say, listen, can we meet with you so that we can sit down and figure out, okay, you've got this $120 million. How are you going to replace this line? Is there a way that we can help? Because what they said is they wanted the lead out. That's what the banner said. Get the lead out of the water. That's what they said. We want clean water. Well, to permanently get the lead out the water, you have to remove the lead pipes from the home, from the private home.
Right.
And the mayor said, okay, let's do that. So he's agreed to what your terms are. So why not now? Yes.
Right.
And so why not now? Let's sit down. You know what I'm saying? And let's come up with the process on how that's going to be done. And if we can be helpful, let us be helpful about it. So if it's not personal, if there's not no secret agenda behind it, then let's try to work with the solution. You can criticize it on the way, but at least let's sit down and talk about the solution. And that's just not happening. You know, some of the stuff I see what they say about the mayor out there, I'm telling you, man, I don't get as bad as he get it. You know what I'm saying? I'm just able to defend myself more because I'm not an elected official.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And he can't. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes I do take it personal with him because he's been my friend for over 20 years. And I know where his heart is. And I know what you know what I'm saying, how much his love is for the city and the things they do. And so I do. So when I hear people say, you always the man, why you got to be? Because I know this man. If he was not the man that I knew him to be, I would not be working with him. Stop believing that I'm here just for a job. Don't think, why do people believe I can't go work nowhere else? Where do we get this knowledge? Where do we get this understanding? I retired from a job. What are y'all talking about? This is my second career. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
I don't need the money.
It personally bothers me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It does. I'm just being honest. It personally bothers when I hear some of the stuff they say about this man because I know where his heart is. I'm in the meetings when he's talking to developers. I'm in the meetings when he's trying to bring these community organizations on board and get them the things that they need. I'm in these meetings. I'm in part of these discussions when he's trying to get things done for the city. And then to hear folks that's not a part of that or not even trying to be a part of that other than to be critical. And then they just make these other, slanderous things out there in addition to being critical. That I got to be honest with you. It's hard for me to sit there and just allow it to be happening and be silent.
And they believe and listen to more of facts from the NRDC than they do somebody who's been trusting and fighting for them for a long period of time.
But what has the NRDC said that's different from what? Because when I was looking at this, I don't really see a difference, right? Like for example, right? Like when in the last segment we talked to one of the activists on the Water Coalition, right? And like we were talking about basically like, well, where's the disagreement? Where's the line? Where's that bright line, right? And there was like, there was serious concern about like if there was water mixing in the Warnocky section and in terms of there were potentially higher lead concentrations in that area, right? And what I said is, well, the mayor agrees that everyone should have their water tested.
Yes.
And the mayor and both of you also said that if you have questions about your water, you can go to any of the sites.
Yes.
You can get water. You just have to agree to go back and get your water tested, right?
Yes.
And so the question is, so even if there is a difference on that issue, there is a solution that is already in place for that.
Yes.
Because so
but it's stinging when you come in and you want to tell somebody that you want to be another one of their regulatory arms, right? I want to come in.
Explain?
I want to
understand this.
So if I'm on the outside and I say I want to come in and be another extension of your regulatory arm, you say no, we're fine, right? Because we have
wait, you said the NRDC,
right?
The NRDC wanted to actually
they want to regulate Newark water. They want to be an arm of that. They come in with very rich influence, a lot of dollars. They send a message. They get people to put their message out. They pay people. The folks are on their payroll. They come in, cause this kind of confusion, and there's nothing wrong in terms of what their motive is, if it's healthy, right, in terms of wanting to bring regulatory concern, regulatory issues. But then when you have to pay people to send out a distorted message, as Rock was saying, right, that becomes problematic.
But isn't that different? Like if the NRDC is coming and they're coming with like, hey, here's what tests we did, here's this, and then if they're coming with facts, then you just disagree with the facts, right? Like that's not a personal attack.
No, I disagree with somebody who says, I'm coming to your house, you go into the bathroom, and I'm going to take over the rest of your house.
Oh, well,
it doesn't work that way.
Right, that can't happen.
And
But
that's
they say-
and that was their philosophy, right? I'm coming in here. We want to be your other arm, irregardless to who you already respond to, right? Regardless of the DP, the EPA, regardless of those regulatory things, we want to be the overseer, right? To have the hierarchy to be able to do these things, look at this stuff in this way, and this is what we want to do, right? And she says, no, we're fine. These are the people we look to. These are our reporting people. These are the concerns. These are issues that we have to follow into there. And now all of a sudden, it's an issue. So let me get my basketball. And not only am I going home, but now I want to expound a lot of untruth, right, in the community, put false information out, change the narrative, hire people to send out mixed messages.
Did that? Like they sent out false information, or was it? Because what I got
the information is not accurate. They're running around. They're running around with it. They got people who are hosting and talking about the same information. Who is saying, I got the document. I got the information. I understand what's happening with this. I think that is probably even the battle that is happening, in the courts, while the courts are still fighting that out. But that's just the narrative that they're putting out there. They have a payroll of people who even live in this city. That work in a city that's getting a check for them to put out this information. The water's contaminated. It was the people who they paid to say that the water was contaminated.
Did they say
yes,
the
they
source
did.
water was?
Yes, they did.
Because that's new to me. Like I didn't know that they actually said that the source water was contaminated. I thought they were just talking about when I was looking through this, I actually didn't see any difference between what they were saying, what the city was saying, right? Like that it was the lead lines, that the private lead lines were the problem, that it wasn't the source water was fine, that the pipes were fine, that the only thing that I never I didn't read anything, and I could be wrong.
Go back and look at their documents, right? Look at their documents.
Well, I mean, they've never outright said that. I think the insinuation, from some of the people that's working with the NRDC is where it comes. But the people in the actual NRDC has never outright just said that, right? So, there's been a lot of the folks that's worked with the NRDC that has, made these insinuations, and rather they work directly for the NRDC or not, I got to be honest with you, I have no idea. But here's the thing, right? Right. So during the election, they were trying to insinuate during the campaign that the source of water had lead in it. Okay. So that was the insinuation. So when the mayor was putting out the correction saying our water is good, our water is not, he was talking about them insinuating that the source water, he always stated that the problem that we have are the lead pipes running, the private lines running. And here's the thing, right? Don't take my word for it. You can go on YouTube, right? Google the debates, and every single debate he said exactly what I'm saying right now. Every one of them. Right, so now they're kind of changing the argument because they know, it's kind of out there now. Because I think even the news is now starting to say, well, it's not the source water. The report is saying that it's not the source water; it's the lead. So I think at least we get that right. So at least so now they're trying to change it. Now they're saying, well, the chemicals that you were using to coat the lead pipes, because they were not because it was acidic chemicals, that's what was causing lead. So you called now we got a whole different argument that's out there. That's is in the stratosphere. But
we're dealing with now, right? We're dealing with what's going on right now and what we do moving forward. I just don't see a difference.
I don't.
And this is, and I'm talking about whether it be I actually don't see a difference between what the NRDC is saying and what the city is saying, except for
the way they want to do it.
Right.
It's a process.
Right.
So I don't disagree with you on that neither. I think it's the process. They want to go one route, and the mayor's saying we want to go this route. Well, guess what? The mayor is the elected official that the people put in office that they trust to make that decision for them. And that's what he's doing, not the NRDC. They want the court. They've done all of those things. They have their right to do that.
Right.
But ultimately, it's the mayor and his administration to take the water situation and try to come up with a solution for it. And that's what he's done. And I'm going to say it again, what I told you before. I think that if they would have came in with a meeting saying, let's sit down and meet.
Right.
And let's sit down and meet and
Well,
see how we
things.
can help you. You know what I'm saying? We got some money. We can test people's lead service line. But see, I think what happened was, and I don't want to, they got caught up in that political campaign that was happening in 2018. And so when you have your opponents giving them information, because that's what was happening. Let's be very clear. Every single person that was pushing a narrative that was other than what the mayor's narrative was his opponent in political office. And they were feeding information to the NRDC. Well, if they're not from here, they're not really going to know about the pot. Like you said, they're environmentalists that's coming in here trying to figure out. And now you have these activists, you know what I'm saying, who's saying they're fighting these politicians that's not doing nothing and they're lying to us. And so the NRDC, as an environmentalist, probably said, you know what, maybe they're right. Let's go. Most of the politicians we know, but we're activists too. We led some of these activists that's currently out there right now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We led them in protest. So I don't understand what the issue here is.
And the bottom line is that if the NRDC had just basically, because a lot of environmental activists would always criticize the EPA, and part of where I think that there may be some issue between like the city, the state, and like the science
of it, yes.
The people, the environmental activists who are focused on the science of it are, well, what standards do you use, right? And so I think that there are criticisms of EPA standards that could be legitimate. There are criticisms of why you use the world standards, right? Why not? Which standards do we use? Why do we use them? And all that should be a part of the conversation.
I don't disagree
right?
with you.
And which I realize, right? Like in terms of like that's the type of activism that could. That's why I said for the activists who are about the science, this is an opportunity to actually do stuff, like the ACLU did with the city.
But you have to determine who those activists are.
Right.
Because see, right now we have a mixture.
Right.
Right now we have a mixture of activists, like you said, that are about the science,
right?
Which are probably a lot of them are part of NRDC. Right? And would like to have that debate, right? And the mayor probably would like to have that debate too. To be honest with you, he's an activist, right? And then you have those activists that has joined on to create chaos or misinformation because they have a political agenda.
Or twist it into personal
attack. Or twist it into a personal attack, right? And so we have to separate that first out of it. So I agree with you, right? Let's have the discussion about the science. Let's have the discussion about the process. Let's debate about how to be paid. Like, that's a good debate to have. That's a great conversation to have, right? And I'm going to say it again. I'm sure this mayor would welcome that.
Absolutely.
Because he's a lot like me when it comes into that realm. He does not run away from fights. He does not run away from debates. He don't mind explaining it, have these type of conversations, come up with solutions. So I'm sure he would love that debate. But when we create the political agenda, and like you said, we put the personal attacks up in it, then I think we're missing what the message is. If the message is what the protesters were saying at the VMAs, then to me, you received some satisfaction. If you, because they keep on debating with me. He keeps saying the mayor solved it. Okay, all right, I'm not going to say that anymore. You receive some satisfaction with the mayor saying we're going to remove all the lead pipes.
Right.
All the
For
free now, right? And we're going to do it less
the private
than the
lead
10.
Lines.
Right. And we're going to do it less than the 10 years. That thing in like 2.5 years, and he's trying to do it. He's trying to do it quicker than that. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it bothers me, man. I'm telling you, man. Like it's okay. If we really about the problem and solving the problem, or we just want to use the problem to gain attention for our movements, there are some people that want that. I don't want to put that tag on NRDC. These people have been doing it for years. They've been all over. So I'm not going to, and I don't even know them personally. So I'm not going to, I'll be honest with you, I'm not opposed to environmentalists. You know what I'm saying? I am opposed to environmentalists, though, that leech them or attach themselves on to a campaign of misinformation. And instead of them, because the NRDC knows that the source water doesn't have lead in it. And so you would think they would be in the room saying to the activists, listen, the source water is okay. let's not, go out there with that message. Let's go out there. But they're not doing why? Because if it causes chaos, if it's causing discussion, if it's getting attention, then maybe they believe it benefits them too. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's where we lose it, right? So if we separate the politics and the personal attacks and remove that from the equation, and we begin to just talk about the water lines, the science, like you said, those activists that's really out there about fixing the problem and using rather it's the EPA standards or the World Health Organization standards, you're absolutely correct. All that's a debate that should be had. It may not be solved overnight. Heck, it may not even be solved in our lifetime. But at least it's a discussion that we can have.
But it's not misinformation. Down, right? I come into a room with 100 items, right? And I say, hey, look, out of your 100 items, I agree on 5 of them. That doesn't mean that it's a negative thing. That doesn't mean we're far away from it, right? But that means that we continue to keep talking. And we may not get to be 100 versus 100, but wherever we find that medium is where we find what we can work at. And that is where the conversation should happen and should have happened, right? Into this place. Instead of coming in and saying, this is what we want to do. You won't let us do it, then this is what we're going to do as a result of this kind of thing.
And one of the things I think, like right now, right, like when people are talking about, well, what is going on right now, right?
Yes.
That means that anybody who wants to get water can get water.
Yes.
You can still get water.
If you're not on the list, you can still get water.
Still get water.
We got plenty of it.
Still get water.
And if you're not on the list, the only thing you'll do is you can go and get tested. You have to consent to being having water tested.
Right. So at every site we're giving out water. Bo Porter, recreational facility, 378 Lyons Avenue. Boylan Recreational Facility, 916 South Orange Avenue. Vince Lombardi, Center of Hope, 201 Bloomfield Avenue. And the City of Newark Health Department. We're giving out water in our 3 recreation centers to families that have lead service lines. We're giving 4 cases of water to those individuals who suspect or believe that they have a line and not sure, or come in and they don't have the line. We're giving 2 cases of water, and we're sending the water department to their house to check, to ensure, to let them know if you have a line or if you don't have a line, to clear the kind of hysteria, to calm the resident down, and in the same instance, working diligently, right, to change the lead service line. And so far, we've given out over 42,000 cases of water. Is that enough? It may not be. We have to continue to keep going on. But we have to, keep understanding our job is to ensure that every lead service line in this city is changed, right? We got 18,000 lead service lines. We want to make sure that all of those lead service lines are changed, right? And that the residents are active, they're aware of it. We need residents to be involved, to talk to other residents, get them to be aware that they need to sign up for this program to help to change their lives, to get this thing, resolved. Because if we're really talking about environmentalists and environmental health and issues, that what we're doing now is saving our future generation, right? From not having to deal with this. And every hand should be on board with this effort. Every hand, every critic, every cynic, every person who wants to be a naysayer. I haven't seen them at any center volunteering yet. Boylan, Bo Porter, Lombardi, or the health department. We still want you to come out and be involved. We want you to be able to help out, pass out water, deliver water, whatever is in your mechanism to help. We want you to be a part of it, not to be on a part where you're antagonizing, where you're talking down about it, where you're trying to figure out how you can build up, your name, or wrap yourself around an idea that this is going to put you out front. What puts you out front is service, right? What puts you out front is being a servant to people, helping people, lift people up, empower them, give them the information, show them that you are there for them in the right way, not in your way, because your way is a way that wants to help and include yourself. But this has to be about everybody. This has to be about all of us coming together for the betterment of our community at hand.
So if somebody goes to get water and they're like, hey, we're not going to give it to you, who should they call? What number?
The water department.
And that's right.
But nobody's going to say we're not going to give you water. If you go to any one of these centers, you're going to leave out of there.
And this is why the call I heard earlier said that's still happening. That's just not true. You know what I'm saying? I heard the call. I'm telling you right now, that's just not true. Everyone at these centers has been told to give the water, but also ask them to allow for us to come in and test their lead service, to test their water line to see if it's lead.
Because that just makes so much sense, right?
Of course it does.
Because that way you're solving the problem on multiple levels.
Yes,
they have water, and you're testing to see if there actually is a problem.
No question. We got plenty of water. So let's be very clear. You know, we've had a lot of donations that's been sent to the city of Newark. I mean, we have water up to the rafters. Please come get the water. And we're going to be going door to door to get people. I think next Saturday we start knocking on doors to get individuals to sign up to get their service lines changed. And we're going to be distributing water then. So we're going to go knock on all 18,000 of those homes. So the mayor's asking anybody that want to volunteer, let's volunteer.
Stop for a second.
I'm going out there.
We had a volunteer meeting.
So next Saturday.
Yeah, I think it's next Saturday, right, Pat? Is it next Saturday?
Yeah.
It's supposed to start next Saturday, I think.
So that's actually new. So next Saturday, that the mayor volunteers are going out to knock on 18,000 doors, right? And like, hey, you need to be a part of this program.
Yes.
We need you to sign up.
Right. And if you're a tenant, right, who's your landlord? Right.
Where is he?
Who you pay your rent to?
Give us
his number.
Give us a call.
Right, exactly.
Because that's been an issue, right?
But here's the other issue. He's also looking into putting legislation on the table that says if they don't sign up, that because it's a public health issue, that we go on the ground and change them anyway. Which is great. Like, yo, that's good. Like, that's what we really need to do.
And that's
we still need people to run their water, right? Continue to run your water in the normal way that you run it. There is nothing wrong with taking a shower. There's nothing wrong with taking a bath. You can't get lead poison by taking a bath or a shower. We need folks to run their water in their houses. Please tell your residents, your neighbors, let them know the reason you need to run the water is because the new orthophosphate that we put in the line, we need you to help so we can flush and clean the line. It's just like you going to get an oil change. It's just like you getting a tune-up change and cleaning your engine. You got to get the bad oil out that has to push through so we can put the good stuff in so that it can be able to work, and that silicate can be able to work around those pipes and work and execute in a way where the levels can decrease, and then ultimately, once again, we're going to change them lead service lines.
He had to say that because I couldn't repeat that orthophosphate.
So what you're saying is that everybody should, because whenever you run your water, that means the coating comes on the pipes.
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
like so that makes that the short-term solution.
Yes.
The short-term solution,
which has been used for decades,
right,
which was the permanent solution in the past.
Right. What's been used since the 50s or so.
Well, and not only that, let's be very clear. It's being used all over the country.
Right.
In all homes, you understand. In New Jersey, I think they said there's over 300,000 lead service lines under people's homes across the state. Newark has 18,000. So that means the rest of these hundreds of thousand lead service lines are in different communities across the state. And they're using that type of corrosion inhibitor to stop the lead from leaking into these homes. So, you know, for many of those towns, that's their permanent solution. For the city of Newark, their permanent solution is the pipes are going to be removed.
And that is something, and the private pipes are being used by public dollars in order to do that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and again, I just think that...
Man, I thought we were supposed to talk about the prayer. Why you always, man, messing my time up? Man? You know what I'm saying?
Right, because...
I do want to say I did get a comic made from this thing, so I think it was good. You know, I got a nice little... You seen the comic?
No, I did not.
You ain't see it?
No.
They did a comic.
Somebody did a comic, bro?
You ain't see the comic story of me?
No.
Oh my God!
No.
I took the character and I'm selling T-shirts now. I got I took their little character they made of me and I'm putting it on a T-shirt now. And you ain't see my new profile picture? I made it my profile picture.
No question. Was it somebody who was trying to troll you?
You know, it's one of the. I might reach out to the guy because I've been looking to make a comic about this character, so I might reach out to him. So one of the guys, you know, from that, I guess he follows the Young Turks on Twitter, and he made a comic. He really sat there and drew me in a comic character, like drew this whole thing of the reporter coming up to me, turning into fire, putting the mic in. Like, he threw you didn't see that?
No, I did not. Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, you thought you might mind it, but you actually liked it. You're like, that is awesome.
It's my profile picture. I made the big time. I'm in the comics now.
The reporter seemed more aggressive than they said you were.
Yeah, man, it's crazy, man.
Shaking the mic, making it fall, pointing it at you.
Well, I mean, I just think that in terms of just like being like what are you going to do? You were filming, they were in a public place, and the VMAs, and you were like doing what everyone else was doing.
But hold the other thing though. Let's take the VMAs out of it, because I think this is an important distinction to make too. And let's say they just was protesting in front of City Hall. Are they saying I have no right to film them protesting?
Right.
I mean, this is
Find
like
out what you're gonna do.
Right,
Or like
right, you know what I'm saying? Like
there's some sinister force.
Right, right. By filming a protest,
Right.
like I said, they had their cameras out, they had their cell phones out, they were recording. So they wanted to make a story out of me recording them. Like I'm telling you, to be honest with you, it was unbelievable that was even a story to me.
Well, I mean, it
really was.
To me, there were some racial dynamics in that, in terms of just like, why are you this threatening black man who's as a camera?
Well, I said if I had to put a story on my Facebook and said these Islamophobia reporters,
right.
you know what I'm saying, came and accosted me because I'm Muslim and out here recording, like, you know, in
right.
context, that wouldn't be true.
Not at all. Not at all.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
And so,
but
this is what they did.
And if you just said that these people were, like, protesters were recording me, people would just laugh at you.
Right.
Like, so what?
Right, exactly,
Like, so,
exactly.
yeah.
But you know, I think Anthony Diaz was about to cry scene. You know what I'm saying? When that reporter, he was like, he's up there recording, looking. I'm like, man, this is crazy. And you wonder why you cannot win campaigns. Because in the city of Newark, we want fighters. We want people that can stand up for themselves, not people that's trying to get sympathy. I want everybody, I want these folks to know, because I'm not going to be here long. I'm telling folks right now, y'all need to take whatever knowledge y'all have. If you think I'm going to be in this field forever, you're kidding yourself. I'm enjoying some part of my life, you know what I'm saying, as my work years go. I'm here for Mayor Baraka, Al Tariq Kinney, and LaMonica McIver right now. Those are three individuals I'm having. After I'm comfortable where they at, Mr. Muhammad is going by his way. So I want people to understand, though, for all the future leaders in the city. I mean, I'm here for you too, Pat. I'm talking about as far as elected leaders, though. I'm talking about as far as elected leaders,
He's looking on his phone. He's all.
I'm talking
You look
about
sad.
people that's elected, right? I'm talking about people that's in elected office. When Pat get elected office, then I'm here for Pat too. But what I'm trying to say though is Newark is used to fighters. If you know anything about the history of the city of Newark, we're used to fighters. You know what I'm saying? If you're looking for sympathy, that's not going to be victorious in the city, because people believe that you got to stand up for the city. And that's what we learned in our activism growing up into the city, that people respected fighters. That's why we were activists. That's why we were fighters. We didn't complain about Sharp James and them, or any of the individuals, or Joe Deal, or anybody that was in power and what they did to us. We ain't complaining about none of those individuals. We just kept fighting. You know what I'm saying? And eventually now we're in leadership positions. If you're planning on being in a leadership position, you have to be a fighter.
Right.
Don't look for sympathy. Don't look for some folks to be a sympathizer. Don't listen to these outside agitators who try to get you to turn against the people that's within your city or the activists that's within your city. Stop fighting with us, because you're not my enemy. I don't believe you're my enemy. I really don't.
Yes,
I think if we sit down and have a discussion, I agree with you 94% of the time. Guess what? I agree with Mayor Baraka 95% of the time. So we're not unique in that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's what I was like, when it comes to the actual substance, there's not much of a difference between like the people who are protesting, who are like serious about what they want, and where the city is right now. Like so in terms of working together. But we do have some time left, and I know we keep promising to talk about.
Can I do one more thing?
The
Because
election.
they have inspired me to do my own podcast. People have been asking me to do one, so I am going to do a podcast very soon. It's going to be one day a week, but I am going to do a podcast because, you know what just learned, that I do see fake news that's out there because of what they did to me.
Right.
And so now I'm going to combat some of that fake news.
Okay.
And I need everybody to hit Rock up on Twitter.
I'm trying to build my Twitter. They didn't give me no new Twitter.
That was funny.
They told me it was going to go viral. It didn't go viral.
Right, so we got to build that up.
Yeah.
In the meantime, we open on Monday. Our water distribution places open on Labor Day, so we want you to come out and get water. We're open 11 to 7 at all of our centers. Saturday, tomorrow we're open 11 to 6, and Sunday we're open 11 to 5. Come out and get some water. Monday through Friday, 11 to 7 p.m. at Borland, Bo Porter, Vince Lombardi. Come on out and get water. Saturday, 11 to 6, and Sunday, 11 to 5. So we want you to come out, get water, sign up for the lead service line program. More importantly, we asking all the residents to run their water, keep running your water, so that the orthophosphate can work and get pushed through the system. And we're coming out in full charge, full effect, because we want you to sign up for your lead service line programs. We're going to get it signed up. This administration is going to get it done. We believe, we trust in the mayor's leadership. We're going to keep moving forward and doing the things that need to get done to help to change the complexion and the movement of the city.
All right, so we are almost out of time. We're gonna ask before we ask the question though, like we always Rahaman, we get you on the show and we always say we can talk about the presidential election.
Well, we need time for that, so I'm not. We didn't do that
So
for.
right. So we're gonna have to invite you back. Like
Right.
you know,
We
we're
gotta
gonna
hurry up
invite you
because
back.
people dropping out.
Right.
Well, I want to talk about it then.
Right.
Oh, okay,
So,
okay,
so
okay.
the ones they're still in, they'll be in. What debate's like 2 weeks from now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So you know we're gonna have to get you back either right before or right after the debates to you know to see what happens. So
Yeah.
who are you rooting for right now?
For where in the,
And the presidential, yeah.
To be honest with you, I don't have a favorite at this point. I mean, I was with Booker. I'm a home team person, but to be honest with you, until he step up, you know what I'm saying, I'm neutral at this point. I'm Eric B for president right now.
Okay. All right. And we'll go into that later. We'll go into that later. So we're closing out. We both been on the show before. We both talked to you about who your favorite hip hop artist, individual group is. Can you just remind us?
Well, listen, I would like, J. Cole and 21 Savage. I'm respecting them two young folks. Let's play the song A Lot.
All right.
You got that song? A Lot.
There you go. I'm old school. You hear what he playing right there. That's it right there. Eric B. and Rakim.
All right. Cool. So, well, thank you a lot for coming out. And I think that today was important because I think that a lot of times there's a lot of fire or a lot of smoke and there's not a lot of actual fire, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times, as I said before, I just don't think that there's much daylight between what people are demanding and what's going on right now.
I don't disagree.
And I do think that the whole public-private distinction, and that's gotten blown up, and that that we're replacing private lead lines with public money, and the effort to do that, I think can't be underestimated or undervalued.
Yeah.
And we want to pray for the Chambly family. E.L. Chambly passed away.
Oh, wow.
The pastor at Promised Land, and many people know.
I
And
used
there
to
was a
go
lot
to
of
the
political
Old Guard
breakfasts,
meeting
the
there.
Old Guard.
Yeah, man.
They used to all meet down at Chambly's
Yeah.
right on Jello. Great place to eat. We want to, send our condolences out to his family on behalf of the city of Newark and all politics are local. Because Chambly was a political mover and shaker, a great pastor of the city, a great leader, and he was a great business owner. And he showed that you can come up from nowhere and get somewhere. So we want to, continue to pray for his family and encourage his daughters.
All right. Thank you. So next Saturday, 18,000 homes.
18,000 homes, brother. We got to start. Yeah.
All right. So if you are really interested in this issue and you want to volunteer to knock on people's doors, they are looking for lots of volunteers to knock on people's doors and let them know that they can have their lead service lines replaced for free.
For free.
For free. So
Yes.
give the name of the landlord so the city can do what the city does.
Free.
So thank you very much. DJ Rhino, we are now into your time.
Free.
You are the best DJ in the entire universe.